Okay, before you watch this full video, can you just look at the description of this video so it explains everything what the hell I'm actually doing here, because I want to make this like a regular thing here, but yeah, I just don't want to fit that into the video, otherwise it's too much talking. Anyway, oh yeah, by the way, I will upload a proper, as in proper Lovecraft video this week. I actually recorded everything, I just finished a few more editing things, so yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday, new proper video coming up, no more of this filler bullshit. But until then, filler bullshit. So basically I'm going to look at 5 books per video like this that I do, of just the books in my library. You know, I read a lot, I buy a lot of books, but not all of them are Lovecraftian, of course, because you can't just spend your life reading one book, otherwise you end up like fucking ISIS, you know. So I have a lot of variety here, and I just thought it'd be fun, 5 books per video, and see what I'm reading. Now, The Hatching is one of these books where the premise is amazing. You just read it and you think, wow, I want that book, which is why I bought it. But then when you read the book, it's shit. Basically, the premise is a spider apocalypse, and that's all I really need to tell you about it. It's a spider apocalypse. That is the premise of the book. It specifies here: a virulent ancient species, long dormant, is now very much awake. Now, apocalypses are cool. People like zombie apocalypses and all sorts of other apocalypses, and people hate spiders, right? But in the good way, because spiders are fucking scary. So now you think these things to go well together. The thing with this book is I got to page 20 and then I put it down because I was so pissed off about it. Basically, the thing that destroys the story here is the writing. The writing is done as if it's by a teenage girl on LiveJournal or something, or Tumblr posting. The thing is that all the characters are written the same. Okay, you have a variety of characters. You got like tourists. You have like this is just in the first 20 pages. You know, these tourists, they're in the jungle and then some of them die. Then you got the female president. Then you got her bodyguards, her advisors who are male. You got like a college professor and then her students. They are all written the same way. You know, there's no distinction between the two. And when I say distinction, I'm talking about mannerisms, how they speak, how they behave. They all behave the same, and that same behavior is like that of a teenager. It's, for example, the thing that really made me like put it down was when you have the president. She's she's a female president, but that doesn't matter. I'm just saying she's a female president, but when she meets up with her advisors or something, the way they converse with each other, it's not believable. They behave like it's like they're teenagers on campus or something, and they both speak in the same manner, like yeah, and they like roll their eyes, and it's not believable when you have characters that are badly written. It just ruins everything, and that is this book. It was badly written, I think. Maybe I haven't heard of this. You know, you figure a book about the spider apocalypse would go viral. People would love that shit. But this book is never talked about. I haven't seen it anywhere. I found it at random on Book Depository. And maybe that's why it hasn't gone viral, because it's just badly written. But that's just my opinion on it. Yeah. Second book is Ryo Murakami's Piercing. Now this is quite a book. Wow. This is one of my favorite writers. And this is this is my favorite book by him. Basically, have you ever heard of that expression, don't stick your dick in crazy? Okay, this is Don't Stick Your Dick in Crazy, the novel. Basically, the premise is this. You have a psychopath guy, who's a legit psycho, and he has this desire to stab his infant daughter with an ice pick. So now he doesn't want to do it though, because obviously it's stabbing your child with an ice pick, so he's not full crazy yet. So he decides he's going to stab a hooker instead, you know, get it out of his system. So he gets himself a hooker. He wants a BDSM one, so he has an excuse to tie her up. And then the hooker comes along, but then it turns out the hooker is also a type of crazy. but she's more like she's had an abusive and neglectful childhood, and as a result she is now also a bit, it's kind of like Stockholm syndrome meets masochism meets Meg from Family Guy or something, you know. And then his plans to just sort of kill her, get it out of his system, that sort of disappears when it turns out she's not what he expected. 50% of the book is written from his perspective, 50% from hers. And the thing that makes it so enjoyable is that it has these comical misunderstandings. Okay, the whole thing goes off the rails when it turns out she's also a bit nuts. But then it sort of comes down to a comedy of errors. Not that it's a comedic book, it's not. But it sort of has its moments of very dark humor, you know, that I chuckled at. She is a very sympathetic character, you know. Him not so much, but she is, and then you feel bad for her. And then it's sort of, you have that feeling of, you know, you want to comfort her, you know, because that's what she's kind of seeking, is comfort, to be loved, that sort of thing. Whereas he is just, he wants to stab a hooker to get her out of his system. So she has a bit more sympathy than him, but she is not guiltless, you know, considering what she does. The ending, without spoiling it, is one of these endings which it ends with a line that is said. I'm not saying which character says it, or any character, but when you hear the line, it's supposed to be like, aha, that's what the book's about. Now this line is delivered in the book, and it just ends there. That's the end of the book. You get the line, and then you're supposed to be like, ah, okay, I get it. But I didn't really get it. So if you've read that book and you want to explain the ending to me, that would be fucking great. It's a great book. I read it more than once. He's a great writer. Pacing is good. Characterization is good. Not like that stupid hatching spider bullshit. It's just a great book. Really recommend it. Third book I'm going to point out here in my video today is a Lovecraft book, because why the hell not? I've got a lot of them. This one is called The Book of Cthulhu. Nice big book, right? This book I do not like. I regret buying it. I got a lot of Lovecraft books, but buying this book put me off from buying anthologies in general, because I don't have a lot of anthologies. This was the bad experience that threw me off buying them. Okay, on the cover it has good authors, right? If you look here, you've got Caitlin Kiernan. It's a good author. Very good contributor to Lovecraftian fiction. You got Ramsey Campbell. He's always in fiction for Lovecraft. Thomas fucking Ligotti. He is really good. And Willem Pugmire. He's also pretty good. Weird character, but you know, he's a good writer. And their stories in this book are good. But then you also have authors like Elizabeth Bear. And if you follow my channel and you've seen the article discussions I've done, you realize how pissed off I get about social justice Lovecraftian fiction. This was one of the stories I read from her, called Shoggoths in Bloom. I actually wrote a video for that. I haven't produced or recorded it. Jesus, it's rage-inducing that fucking the social justice in Lovecraftian fiction, and you don't want it in a nice big aesthetic looking book like this. You don't want to see that shit, but it's in here. And along with one or two social justice stories in here are just like some stupid stories. I'm reading from the contents page here. For example, you got stories called Bad Sushi. Okay, obviously Lovecraft has the deep ones. He's scared of the ocean, and he never liked seafood. So it's Bad Sushi. Bad Sushi, that's what you're going to call your Lovecraftian story? Okay, fine. Then you have Jihad over Innsmouth. As in, yeah, jihad, like Allah Akbar, boom, that sort of jihad. And then you've got a story here called Calamari Curls, as in the calamari rings that you eat. So it's inundated with sort of ridiculous comedic stories like that. Now, okay, call me a boring asshole, but when I read Lovecraftian fiction, I want cosmic horror. I want that feeling of dread, like that is vital to good horror, but this is sort of comical at times. So if you're not such a tight ass like I am, and you appreciate some maybe comedic horror, comedic Lovecraftian horror, maybe you'll find something in there. But for me, I really didn't like it, except for the contributions by Ramsey Campbell and Caitlin Kiernan. Those are all good, as to be expected. The fourth book I'm going to talk about here is one I'm actually currently reading. I got this week, so it's all still nice and shiny. This one is called Moju, the Blind Beast, by Edogawa Rampo. Now, Edogawa Rampo is supposed to be like the Japanese way to say Edgar Allan Poe. And this guy, he is advertised as the Japanese Edgar Allan Poe. He writes various things. I'm not experienced with him yet, so let me just talk about this book. This is what is classified as Eroguro. Eroguro stands for erotic guru, and guru I think means gore. So erotic gore. Okay, I'll let you do the imagining what that is all about. But basically it's about this blind guy. He's a masseuse, and then he can't see, but he's rich and a little bit crazy, and he's also very fucking horny. Okay, so his idea is to create an underground lair. Okay, first of all I should point out that this book is also a bit surreal at times. So he has this underground lair, and he's produced massive female body parts, and he's stuck them all over his wall. So like on his wall he have a massive pair of artificial tits, but they feel like real tits do. You know, it's like soft. Even made them warm somehow by like heaters or something. And it's not just tits, but also like noses, cheeks, thighs, toes, everywhere. And then his way of getting off is to touch them, you know, because he can't see, so his sense of touch is heightened. So then that is how he finds pleasure. And then the guru part comes from he abducts women, and he basically keeps them there as his sex slaves, right? But eventually he gets bored of them, and then I haven't read that far in. So there's one character, he abducts her. Basically it's BDSM plus Stockholm Syndrome, and then they take things too far, he ends up killing her, and then, yeah, that's as far as I've gotten in the novel. It's pretty fucking weird, which is to be expected when, you know, if you think of Japan, they have this bad stereotype of really weird fiction and stuff like that, which is why I bought it, because I actually love that kind of stuff. It's not like violent, like maybe you've read American Psycho. There the violence is really kind of sick. Patrick Bateman, the protagonist in that novel, he captures hookers as well, and then he kills them. But there it's really detailed. It's gory as shit, and it's disgusting. Things like Saw and all these Hostel, these horror films where they depict gruesome violence, it makes me kind of sick to view. But here it's sort of like it just explains what he did. Like he cut her head off, for example. Okay, so then you just imagine how that happened. But if it's a very gory thing like American Psycho, they'll explain how it went through the tendons, and the tendons were snapping, and that disgusts me. So it's kind of gory, but it's comedically gory in a way, which is the Japanese sort of style. Really recommend it. It's interesting. It's something new. Final book is also a great recommendation here. This is called The Strain. I talked about it before in some of my videos, and this is produced by Guillermo del Toro, or produced, co-written. This is basically vampire apocalypse. This is one of 3 books, by the way, but this is the first one. Vampire apocalypse. Okay, basically it's not vampires like you'd want to be, you know. Being a vampire is a nice fantasy for some people. You get the cool powers, you get to be lethal and seductive and all these sort of things. Vampires here, they're fucking disgusting, and basically they're a hive mind. So if you get bitten, you're going to get turned into this disgusting leech type character who has no free will, no mind at all. You become a drone, and there's no going back. They treated vampires here not from a supernatural point of view, but rather a disease. So the heroes of this book are CDC workers, so the Center for Disease Control. And then it's their efforts to quarantine the virus, but obviously that's not the end of the book. There's 3 books, so shit goes pear-shaped or something, you could say. It's really a fresh look at vampires. It's a lot of fun. There's no real negatives. The characters are well written, not like that Spider book. That's some bullshit. But this is really well written. I don't know who did the majority of the writing. I'm suspecting Chuck Hogan. I don't know how much of a writer Del Toro is, but he probably came up with the idea because the design of the vampires are very similar to the vampires from Blade 2, which is a film he made. There's also a TV series. So far there's 3 seasons out. Season 4, the final season, is coming out this year. Really good. Really recommended it. No negatives except for one character, who is basically this child who is the poster child for why abortion is a good thing. Seriously, fuck that child. You go to any message forum, people hate this character. And sadly, the character in here, the child character, is also pain in the fucking ass and somehow never gets bitten, So yeah, that's my video here. Just 5 books. Next time I do a video like this, I will look at another 5 books. I've got so many to talk about. I hope you enjoyed it. This won't be a regular. It's going to be regular, but I'm going to put all my efforts into making proper Lovecraft videos. Okay, that's my priority. This is just some filler every now and then. Yeah, it's hot as shit. I'm going to get another beer, and thanks for watching. Cheers.